Oh, hi everyone.
Let's get the waving going.
Yeah, can everyone wave? And in the comments, tell us where you're from. Tell us where you're tuning in from. My name is Catherine Drennan, and we are so excited to have you on this call. I am from Michael's, and of course, everyone knows Joe from Siser.
What?
So thrilled that you are tuning in today with us. And while this might be what Joe calls the season finale, it is not the series finale. So stay tuned for more dates to come. Oh, we got Dallas. Oh, Mandy's on.
Mandy is on. There she is.
Houston, Alabama, West Virginia. Wow, gosh.
Right on. Let us know where you're watching. Let's get the hands up in the air.
Yeah.
Like we say, wave them like you just don't care, you know? Let us know where you're watching from.
So,
all right, all over. Keep it going.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your time with us. We know that this might be your one break away from the kids, or you're hiding in the bathroom, or your lunch break away from work. And we are so thrilled and honored that you want to share this time with us. And I know really it's more for Joe than it is for me. But anyways, I'm still very happy to see you all here. And we're thrilled to be able to find ways to help you keep making, keep creating. That is our goal, and that is what we're here to do. So while people are still coming in, gosh, Pennsylvania, New England, California, all over, I'm gonna hand this over to Joe.
Yeah. She's gonna hand it over to me. So there it is. How's it going, everyone? Thank you again. I'm Joe with Siser North America. That is right. It's Siser, not Siser. And I'm here for the 4th Zoom class for Michael's. And I noticed some of you guys have been to all of them, so thank you very much for sticking around again. And some new faces that are on here. And it's so awesome to see faces, you know, like, so I'm seeing all you guys look right back at me. It doesn't make it really weird for me or anything. But yeah, like we had mentioned, the comment group chat, feel free to start asking your questions in there, and we will stop at any point and make sure that we get those answered. Today we're going to be talking about a awesome holiday that's coming up. So for all you mothers out there, let's get the hand up in the air. Mothers out there, I am going to give you a round of applause. Thank you so much. You guys are totally essential workers forever. Thank you so much for being amazing and all that. And I am, wait.
Hey, Joe, do dog moms count? Dog and cat moms and horse moms?
If you want to, you don't really count the same, but no, I'm just kidding.
I hope everyone hates on you right now.
So much for what you do, and this is to honor you. We have a lot to talk about today, so I'm going to kind of cruise through. I could go on forever explaining what we're going to be going over today. I want the focus to be mainly around Siser easy patterns. So those are those pattern heat transfer vinyl rolls that you've seen in the Michael's stores. I believe right now there's 14 patterns that we have. And I got to give the shout out to Mandy and Sparkleberry, because 13, I think is it 13 of those patterns? It's a good amount of those patterns are Sparkleberry patterns, which is awesome because they're great. I'm using those today, so you're going to get to see them in action. I also have to give a shout out to Mandy because the artwork I'm using today was provided by her. I did manipulate it a little bit and change it up a little bit to work for me. But I'm going to be incorporating the easy patterns with other Siser heat transfer vinyls. So this is, like Catherine said, it is a season finale, so I had to go big. So I'm going to be showing a lot. Feel free to ask questions, but I'm going to cruise right through it. Little trivia, though, just to start it all, and I figured I'd do this maybe every a new Zoom class. But does anyone really know how Mother's Day got started? You know, we just kind of all came up and we're like, Mother's Day, it's a holiday. So I did a little research. For those that don't know, it started in 1908 by a woman named Anna Jarvis. And she started it by honoring her mother, who passed away in 1905, and she wanted to make a holiday coming from, I believe it was West Virginia. And it wasn't until 1911 when the US Congress passed it as an actual holiday. And it started in the States, and it's pretty remarkable because Woodrow Wilson made it the second week in May, because I always wondered, like, why is it always the second Sunday? That's how it was. So there's a little bit of information for you on Mother's Day. Very exciting. So that right there, think about it. A little idea started something that we just kind of as tradition. So that right there should influence you to do something awesome each and every day. So what I'm going to do today, and I'm going to just, I know before in the past I've showed my screen and I've gone over the art process, and what I'm doing today is, again, there's a lot going on, and this class would be really long, so I'm just going to kind of cruise through the artwork, how I set it up, and what we're going to be applying today. So I'm going to share my screen into Corel. And I'm only going to show you Corel today. I know I kind of toggled between a couple different softwares. And in Corel, this was the artwork that Mandy gave me, and it's outnumbered by tiny humans. So that was the one piece of artwork first. And then she gave me this mom, and she recommended using this font. And the font I used is called I Love Glitter. And for those that don't know, you can go to a website called DaFont, like DAFONT.com, and you can actually download fonts on there for free. And that's where I went. I went and downloaded this font called I Love Glitter, and this is what the font is. It's a typable font. So I created this bottom one with my mom's children, so my siblings and myself. So there's 5 of us here, and it's cool because it actually has these little hearts as its own built-in image. So you have to use a special key, and I believe it's just a backslash or one of those, and it'll immediately make that heart for you.
Wait, Joe. Should I be calling you Joey from now on?
You can call me Joey. Go ahead. You know, I mean, I get it all my life. My dad's Joe. Call me Joey. So that's just, you know, it's the mom thing. It's an embarrassing, vulnerable moment, you know. So what I did here is I drew this out. And again, when you decide how you're doing your designing, you need to remember what part is going to be the easy pattern. And this large portion, the mom portion, is going to be the easy pattern. Now, what I have to remember, and what you have to remember when you're working with easy patterns, is we do not recommend layering on top of them. So in this case, whatever this top layer is going to be, I know that it's going to go over that, but I can't have it be layered on top of it because I know the mom is going to be the easy pattern. So what I did here is I created this. I typed all that out, and then I went over here and I created a contour. And I know in other softwares it may be called a step, or there's other verbiage for it, but in this case it's called a contour. So what I did is or an offset, here you go. And what I did is I went by 0.05, I applied that, and what that did is it caused this contour to go outside of my main image. From there, I broke it apart. Now what I have to do to see it better is create a different color. So right now, technically, I could be set for 3 different layers of heat transfer vinyl if I wanted to. But what I'm doing is I'm now going to take my contour layer, this blue layer, and I'm going to do what I talked about earlier in an earlier episode, which is trim this from that mom. So what I mean by that is I took this blue layer, held it, clicked that mom layer, and went up to this top and I hit trim. And what that did is now I can delete this blue layer, and now it created this gap. So now when I go to apply this, this is going to have a gap between my lettering to the background where my easy pattern is going to be. Does that make sense?
Hey, Joe, we have a question for you.
Yeah.
How did you get those hearts in between the names?
So again, this font right here is called I Love Glitter. So what it is if I typed out, like if I went all the way back and I typed Rob, and then if I hit space, all it would do is space. I believe it's, yes. So if you hit shift in the backslash button, see it already created it. So it's actually in the font. And when you go to defont.com and if you download a font, if you scroll down in the screen, it'll explain what the text values will be in regards of what kind of graphics it might create. I know that sounds confusing, but in this case, like I said, if I hit shift in the backslash, it created the heart. Then I can go and type the rest of it, hit the same thing, and it's creating that heart for me. And then once that's done,
oh, sorry, keep going.
And once that's done, now you need to make sure that you create your fonts into an object. So right now that's still a typable font. So if you want to create it into an object to do what I did up there, what I like to do is make a copy of it. And then all you do is convert to curves. And in other programs, it might be called something else. And here's something that people forget to do when they're working with heat transfer vinyl and they're working with script type font like this. If you ever look in wireframe and you see this, how many people deal with that? So if you sent that to your cutter is going to cut these shapes. So what you need to make sure that once you do this with script font is that you go back and you, I can't see. You need to go back and ungroup these. And weld them together, but I can't find my weld button because I got a lot of action up here.
Mandy wants to know if you're your mom's favorite.
Oh, totally. All right, well, I can't find it on here because I got like the action of the Zoom meeting, but you need to make sure you go back and weld that together before you go and cut it. And that makes a solid shape. And that's like what I have up here. So if I look like what I have already cut and ready to go, that's what it's going to do. It's going to create this cut. So you need to make sure you go and weld them together so it's one solid shape. Like I said, what you got to do is break these together, combine. What I'm doing is combine, and then you have to go back and weld it all together. So now see how all that is smooth? And I know I'm going over it fast, and we can come back and talk about it on another thing, but I'm just kind of cruising along to show you the step of creating that. And we can, of course, like I said, go and talk about this later on as another topic. But that's how I did it for one design, and I created this gap outline between my foreground and my background. Now I want to go over to the next design that Mandy gave me, and that was this one. And when she gave me this design, it actually didn't have a stroke around it. This is what it looked like. What I wanted to go over was showing now this outnumbered is going to be an easy pattern. Again, like I mentioned with the other design, we do not recommend layering anything over it. But in this case, I'm going to show you how to do a trapping method where a little bit of it is layered on top of it, but most of it is actually going to be applied onto the garment. And what I did, and in this program, I created a stroke. So down at this bottom, this right here is my stroke. In other softwares, it might have a different line or a different phrase for it. And what I did is I made my hairline into a 3-point stroke, which made it thicker. Now, when I look at this in wireframe, which shows kind of what I have, you don't see that stroke. What I have to do is actually create that into a curve. So now when I go and look at it in wireframe, oh, not yet, hold on. Now I just converted this to a curve. Now when I go into the wireframe, do you see that? Now that black line is now an actual layer. So if you see this in wireframe, from this line to this line, it's going over where my easy pattern is. It gives me the opportunity to add that cool contour to it. But what you can do from here is then take both of these, copy and paste, weld it together, which is going to make a one solid piece, and then add another contour on top of that. What I'm going to do here. And I'm going to actually make this outline even bigger. And I know I'm cruising, but I just kind of want to show you what I did. So I created an even larger outline, and then I pasted my other two on top of it. So now this line and this line are going to be thicker contour to give me a little bit more depth in my overall design. So that was really, really fast. Again, we'll go and we'll talk about it another time. I just want to show you how I did it. And then this bottom one, I want it to be another easy pattern, but I also want to add another contour to it. So what I did here is simply copy this, apply a contour to it, and I think I made it a little bit thicker than that, and I think I went to 1 inch. Broke this apart, and now I have 2 layers. And now I want this bottom layer is going to be an easy weed layer, and I'm going to layer easy patterns on top of easy weed, which you can do. So when you are designing your artwork for your project, just keep in mind how you're going to lay out your Siser HTV. So in this case, in this design, I know that I have the pink area is going to be in my easy pattern. My black outline is going to be, well, in this case, it's going to be glitter. You can color it whatever color you want to help you out with that. And then down here, my foreground is going to be an easy pattern. And on here, I'm going to layer it on easy. So yes, like I said, I'm going all out for this project. And so here we go. And down here, I'm going to be using my easy pattern for the mom, and my text on the inside, I'm going to be using Siser holographic heat transfer vinyl. So that is what I have going on with the production. So I'm going to switch back over to here. Hopefully I didn't lose you guys. I know, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That was so fast. And we will go over more art stuff down the line. I promise you we'll talk more in depth on that. I just really make sure that we go over the easy pattern portion of it right now, because we do get a lot of questions on how the easy patterns work, what we can do with them. So here we are with the easy patterns ready to go. I already have them cut. And let me do a little like plug real quick. Did you guys see this awesome little card I have back here? Holding my silhouette and a bunch of awesome Michaels rolls and a bunch of other fun stuff here. Yeah, that's right. Michaels gave me these awesome cards, which will be available very, very soon. I apologize for those that saw the video I did of me assembling them, and then they asked where they were. They're not available just yet, but I promise you, Catherine will let you know when they are. And hook up. And I found out they come in mint too. So guys, come on. I got white.
They will be available very, very soon. You should start seeing them around May 22nd.
Yes.
And just a quick note, if anyone is concerned that they're having trouble following along, we are recording this session and we will be posting it. So please don't worry, don't panic if you're taking notes. A couple people have asked what software you were using, Corel Draw.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm using Corel, and again, I'll come back and I'll do something, and we'll keep it only in like Silhouette or the Cricut Studio or something like that. But I use Corel Draw. And I talked about Inkscape, which Inkscape is really, really cool, and it's free. And you can do a ton of vectorizing and exactly what I just showed you in there. And we'll come back and we'll do more. I promise you guys. I just wanted to cruise through just to show you where we're at now and kind of fast forward that process, because again, I could be talking about it for hours. So I already cut my designs on my vinyl cutter. I have my easy patterns ready to go. So I'm using 3 different of the sparkle pattern or sparkleberry pattern easy patterns. So I'm using the paisley navy for one of them. I'm using the ombre unicorn for one of them, and then I'm using Mandy's palette for the other design. And then I'm going to be incorporating other Siser heat transfer vinyls with it. I'm going to be using this holographic heat transfer vinyl, and I'm going to be using white easy weed stretch, and I'm going to be using violet glitter heat transfer vinyl. All Siser products, each one of these that I'm showing you today are available at Michael's. You can get them online today. So that's what's happening. Now, with the easy patterns, questions we get all the time. What is this sheet that comes with it? So easy patterns are totally different than regular heat transfer vinyl in regards of how you work with them. If you're used to easy weed or glitter or holographic, you already know, or you may know, that you cut your designs in reverse when you send it to the vinyl cutter. So when you mirror it, right? With these patterns, patterns like this, you're going to cut it like normal. What this sheet that comes with these rolls of easy patterns is the application mask. So you need to make sure you hang on to this mask sheet that comes with your easy pattern. Now the easy patterns at Michael's come in 11.8 by 24 inch width. The sheet of this mask that comes with those easy patterns is half the length. So you're kind of like, well, I'm only getting half of what what the product is. You can reuse that mask. So don't throw it away after you do your first application. Save it for the other half of your mask. You can reuse it twice. I wouldn't really use it more than 3 times because it starts losing the tacky end of it. So also a big issue that sometimes we get with our tech support and easy patterns is people say that they're not able to get the easy pattern to lift up with their mask. One of the most common things that happens with the easy patterns and why it doesn't mask, or why you may have issues with masking, is because there might be a tendency of cutting the edges too deeply into your easy pattern. So it's very, very important that you do test cuts when you're working with easy patterns. You do not want to cut too deep, because what happens is you start pinching the edges of your transfer into your backing. So you want to make sure that your cut is at a good depth, not too deep, and obviously you can tell if it goes all the way through, but if it pinches the edges, it's going to be very difficult to get it to lift up. Another important thing for all those that are in the South and maybe around a lot of high heat and warmth right now, which I'm very jealous of because it's snowing here up in Detroit, but you want to be careful that you keep your heat transfer vinyl away from high heat. You need to make sure that you store all your heat transfer vinyl in a climate controlled area, out of direct sunlight or any kind of way for the high humidity, because that will start messing with the tackiness of the mask. So you do want to make sure that you have that stored away from any kind of variable that might cause the heat to actually start activating the adhesive. Does that make sense? How do you feel about that, Catherine?
I mean, I messed up my first time using easy pattern, and so, easy, I'm going to use that word lightly, but no, we have a lot of people out there saying that they've never had an issue, and it's been super easy for them. So I'm in the minority here.
That's awesome. And I'm just saying, just in case you ever do end up dealing with that in the future, like if you're like, I've gotten easy pattern rolls before and for some reason I can't get it to mask properly, just remember that you may be cutting your transfer just a little too deep. So it's important to maybe go back, dial down your pressure a little bit or your downforce, and then test it out. Obviously, the next part when we do all the masking is another key element to watch out for. So I already have my designs cut. I'm just going to weed out and just show you how simple it is to weed this if you're not familiar on how it works. And again, with these patterns, that backing is not sticky, so it's not like what you're used to with easy weed. It's not like glitter. And the reason you're using the mask is because underneath this pattern is the adhesive side. So we need to get this transfer off to your garment to be able to apply it, and that's what the mask is for. So that's why it's very important that you do that. And I'm going to do all 3 of these patterns all at once. And just to plug it a little bit too, I was just informed that there are going to be a few new Sparkleberry patterns that are going to be available at Michael's in the next few weeks. Correct, Catherine?
Woohoo, yes, there will be. We are so excited for them to come too. So I do have a question for you while you're reading that. Beverly would like to know if she could use Cricut heat transfer vinyl if she doesn't have any of the masks.
Can you use Cricut heat transfer vinyl for what?
Or maybe the with the
oh, for the backing?
yeah, yes.
It's possible. I don't know how successful it would be. But again, if you get a roll of easy patterns from Michaels, you will get a piece of mask with it. So if you do have that opportunity, just hang on to that mask. I can't confidently tell you that doing that is going to work every time. It might be just kind of an experimental thing for you. I can tell you that I've done it once with the backing of Easy Weed. So if I've run out of mask before and I've used the backing of Siser Easy Weed to mask my patterns, and that works every once in a while. And a little trick too.
People that have done that, they're agreeing with you.
Yeah, and a little thing too, a little trick, just in case you are dealing with it not being a little tacky enough. And it doesn't sound completely kosher, but it does work, I promise you. Now, if you get this sheet of mask, and maybe you've used it before, when you start heating this up, you essentially start weakening the tackiness to the mask. So that's why we don't recommend using it too many times, because you're really just weakening the adhesive. But if yours doesn't seem as tacky, what we can sometimes suggest to people is that you take your sheet of the mask and you throw it into your freezer for about 5 to 10 minutes. And the freezer will actually solidify that adhesive and make it a little bit more durable. So if it feels like it's a little weak, you can give that a try. And that might be a little tip to help you out and hopefully salvage your piece of mask.
Hey, Joe, we have a comment that I have to share with you because I think I've been waiting for someone to say this whole series. But Julie says, Mandy is the best, as is our eye candy Joe.
Oh, Julie, what's happening? That's the hashtag. Julie started that one, the eye candy, but I'm flattered. Thank you. And Mandy is the best, so I can't outdo that.
Lots of people agreeing.
Now, when it comes to masking,
are you blushing?
Patterns, what's that?
Are you blushing?
Maybe a little bit. This press is on. It's hot. Let's, you know. Work on a flat surface, hard surface. Don't work on anything like this. If you have anything that might give you uneven area when you are doing your masking. What I like to do with the masking, I peeled off this paper backing. Hang on to that paper backing, and I like to lay the sticky side of the adhesive facing up. And what you do is you just take your easy pattern transfers and ideally roll them across. Some people like to go in the center and roll out, but I just kind of roll it across from one end to the other. And I'm going to do all three of these all at once. Now, this is another thing to make sure you are paying attention to that may or may not cause issues when the masking might lift or not lift. You need to make sure you use a good squeegee, something that's durable, has some force to it. And ideally, again, with the hard surface, I like to start in the center of my transfer and squeegee with down force all the way out. So what that's doing is it's creating a bond between my transfer and the mask. But you need to make sure you apply force, and you need to make sure you do it evenly. All right, once you do that, and then you can peel this backing off. Now this is garbage. Now, it is important to make sure that you peel this backing off almost right away. Now you can't store your transfers with this backing still on it. It's not recommended. If you leave this backing on, like this part of it on the transfer, like how I had it, and say, hey, I'm not ready to apply it yet. I'm going to put it on the shelf. I'll apply it later. there might be issues on getting that release down the line. So that's another thing to look out for, that you at least make sure you peel that off right away. Now, if you know you're not going to use these transfers or apply them right away, save that paper backing, lay it back down, and now with this, I can put this transfer up on the shelf and I can go back to apply it. So it's very important to peel that backing off almost right away, because that might be an issue that you might deal with down the line. Okay. So I'm going to trim all of these up. All right, so I have all of my easy patterns done. Now, does anyone have questions on this easy pattern end of it? So then I'm just going to cruise on, because I still have to weed my glitter piece, my holographic piece, and my easy weed piece.
See an easy pattern question, but when you get to the t-shirt, can you give us some tips on how you best align it straight on the shirt?
Yeah. And I'm going to be using this awesome heat press that Michaels will have available in when, Catherine?
September.
September. Yeah, I've been teasing this heat press the last few lives I've been doing for the Zoom class. If you guys caught the Valentine's Day special I did with Michaels on Facebook, I did show it for the very first time, and Catherine was certainly not happy with me because it was not really something they had ready at all. But now we can officially say, well, Catherine officially said last week that the press is going to be available with Michaels in September. So that's very, very exciting. And if you guys have seen my last couple Zoom classes, you see the benefit of using a heat press. Everything I'm showing you today, 100% you can apply it either with your home iron or a Cricut Easy Press. So if you are using those, please, please do not be discouraged that you do not have a heat press or that you don't want to get the heat press yet. You can absolutely still use a home iron. You know, it's totally your own opinion. I just, you know, for myself and being in this industry for such a long time and working with heat transfer vinyl for a long time, consistency is key. And heat presses are very, very important, because most of the time what we deal with on our tech support end is if something does fall off, we usually end up finding out that it had something to do with lack of pressure. And pressure is very, very important when it comes to applying Siser heat transfer vinyls. They might initially go down, but the problem comes when you go to throw it in the washer. And that might be when you may have dealt with it in the past. And so you do want to make sure, and what we find out is that there might be lack of pressure, because the variable is on you when you're using a home iron or the easy press, is because you still have to push down. You still need to make sure you're applying adequate pressure. So it's very important. Now with the heat press, we can dial in the pressure. The heat press will make sure that we're getting the pressure we need. We can control the temperature accurately. And then it's just fast application. So that one took me a minute, because look at how, I don't know if we could switch real quick just to show you the thin lines I did of this. Holographic is super thin. So just to show you those that are afraid to use the holographic, like that was cut, weeded. There you go. You can do things like that. And now to show you a huge benefit with the press too, and in case you saw it last week, maybe we'll switch angles for this one. You see it? All right. This is the heat press. You have 9 inches by 12 inches of surface space. Closing it, this is my pressure gauge right here. I can either loosen or heighten the pressure. Up at the top, I have my temperature gauge ready to go. If you see that there, this is my temperature display. When I go into mode, I can set the temperature I want. Now, this is a question we get all the time. I am mixing right here, let me count it, 4 different Siser products, Now, when you look up on our website, or if you hang on to these tech sheets that come with the rolls of the Siser product at Michaels, it will tell you the temperature you need to apply at. On our website at CaesarNA.com, we have the temperature settings, the application settings for each one of our products. We have an app that explains that. Now, my point here is I'm using 4 different products from Siser, and each one of them might have a different temperature recommendation. So people say, well, you're using Easy Weed Stretch, and that might be recommended at 305 degrees or 320. And then holographic might be recommended at 310, and glitter or the easy patterns might be recommended at 305. Do I need to change the temperature for each one of these products? The answer, no. What I always recommend and what I tell people that are using a heat press like this, just split the difference between all those temperatures. So from 305 degrees to 320 degrees, I just find a mark in the middle and I set my press to 312 degrees. And now I can apply each one of these products onto my garment. Does that make sense? Awesome. And I just wanted to show you another great trick when you're working with any of our Easy Weed products. When you're weeding the Easy Weed products and you have your heat press on, I love showing this trick because it speeds up the weeding process too, because not everyone's like Captain, no one loves to weed. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna warm up my lower platen, and that is going to retain the heat from my upper platen. I'm gonna hold that down for a few seconds. Now this is gonna be a little warm, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Easy Weed Stretch piece and I'm going to weed it right from my lower platen, and I'm barely pulling at that. So for those that have felt like it took forever to weed something and they're really picking and pulling and they just get frustrated, using this process will save so much time when you're working with our Easy Weed lines. So if you go to Michael's and you see Easy Weed Electric, Easy Weed Stretch, any of those products will work perfectly with this process of the heat press trick. So, all right, we're all weeded, we're ready to go for application. Here was something real fast just to explain this too, and this is very important, and I want you guys to remember this when you're thinking about what patterns you want to use and how you want to use them. The color of your garment is going to also influence your pattern. So I'll bring this closer to one of these screens up here. Will be good. You guys can see that I've already done this whole process on a yellow shirt, since yellow is my mom's favorite color. And as you can see, it looks great. I know it's probably a little bit tougher to read, which could be a concern, but this is also because we're going through a phone right now. But up close, you can 100% read it fine. It looks great. But the way the patterns will pop may determine, or it may be determined by the color of the garment. So it's very, very, very important for you guys to think about. I'm using, you know, again, the three sparkleberry pattern. Will this color scheme pop a little bit more on a lighter colored garment or a darker colored garment? So for this lesson, I really wanted to show you what it looks like with the 2 exact same patterns, but on 2 dark, or 1 dark and 1 light colored shirt. So you guys can kind of determine which one you like or what the preference is. So bring the press back over here. And for my application live here, I'm going to be using a dark navy shirt. And at Michael's, they do have the Gildan and or the Bella Canvas, which are newly added, which are great shirts. I'm using a little bit of my catalog. It's just a regular cotton t-shirt here. So it doesn't really matter. And again, on those tech sheets that come with the Michael's rolls, it will tell you what fabrics are recommended. So if you do have questions about what fabric can you apply it on, I know I've been showing t-shirts in a lot of my lessons. That's just kind of an easy way to show stuff. But do not be afraid to try it on other things. If you wanted to decorate a bag for your mom, if you wanted to decorate a hat, if you wanted to decorate other things that aren't just a t-shirt, you can absolutely do that. It's just very important to make sure you look at what the fabric is made of before you do it. And sometimes I have to recommend and suggest people to just try it underneath the heat of the heat press or the iron before you do the full application, because we certainly don't want you to ruin you know, your textile or your substrate, and or we don't want you to ruin your heat transfer vinyl. So, and of course, you can always reach out to us at Siser if you do have questions on any of that. So I'm going to apply both of these transfers, both of these designs. So it's obviously two different designs. I'm just putting it onto one shirt. Now, the question was, how do you line it up and how do you find your center? Now, it's on a heat press like this. What I always like to do is feed my shirt, and be careful on this upper platen. This is hot, so you don't want to touch that, but I feed my shirt in the center using the collar of the shirt, which I know it's hard to see down here, but I use the collar, and maybe I can get some light. You see that a little bit better?
Looks great.
So I use the tag of the shirt as my center, and then I kind of go off of the sleeves of my garment. That doesn't look great at all. So I have my center already laid out. Now what I like to do first is check my pressure. Now you want to make sure that I have a little bit of force when I push it down. So I know I'm at a good pressure, which is where I want to be. And I like to hold it down for a few seconds to get the wrinkles out, take out the moisture that's retained inside the garments. And that's just preheating it for a few seconds. Now, we're going to do the first design, which is the one with the Mandy's palette. And I'm going to be using the holographic as the inset. So the first thing I'm going to do is lay down this foreground. Now, again, the benefit of using a heat press too is the fast application, but also when you do a fast application, you're averting any kind of shrinking with the garment, because all that high heat to cotton will cause your garment to shrink. It's just like when you throw your cotton t-shirt into a dryer. It's going to shrink up because of the heat. But because of the benefit of the Siser product with the heat press is the fast application. So what I'm going to do is actually tack my easy pattern down for a second and peel hot. See that? That was live. 1 second. You guys counted it. Now, remember, you can reuse this mask. So if you want to, save this piece of paper backing, set it aside, and you can use that mask for another application. So as you guys see, I have my one layer, the easy pattern is down, and now it didn't shrink my garment enough that when I go to line up my holographic layer, it fits exactly where I want on my garment. So this is exactly how I wanted it, and now I'm going to cover it back up and make sure I go back and apply it for the full duration. So I've only pressed that easy pattern for 1 second, which is not the full press. But since I laid my next layer, my holographic, I need to go back and press it for the full about 15 seconds.
Hey, Joe, can you remind everyone what temperature you decided to do? We know you said somewhere in between, but what did you actually settle on?
So I split the difference because easy patterns are recommended at 305 degrees, and then holographic, easy weed stretch, glitter are all at 320 degrees. So what I did, instead of going at 305 degrees, you could really just set it at 320 since everything is recommended at 320 outside of the easy pattern. But what I did is I split the difference. So what I set my heat press to is 312 degrees. I hope that makes sense. Now,
yes, thank you.
Holographic is not a hot peel. So you couldn't do what I just did with the easy pattern. So what I like to do is I take it off of the heating element. I'll put it up against something cool to speed up the cooling process. And then from there, you can peel your carrier off. And very easy, as you see, but that's my holographic carrier. So that's obviously, that can be garbage. But here you go. This is my first project. And as you can see, yeah, what do you think of that? And the holographic, super dazzling. I want some feedback. What do you guys think? That's the
People are
holographic.
loving it.
Loving it? All right.
Hey, what
Awesome.
color holographic did you use?
I knew you were going to ask that. Because you guys changed aqua.
Aqua. Wow.
Aqua.
Love it.
So this was aqua holographic, and the Mandy's palette easy pattern. So that's just to show you, I didn't layer them, but it gave the illusion of a 3-color because of that gap outline I gave with the holographic. So it really gives you the 3-color illusion with only using 2 products. So that's another way to kind of add some dimension and add some uniqueness to your design. Now, I'm going to cruise right under it. So I'm just going to make sure that that top transfer is off. And I'm going to do this second transfer right underneath it. And since this is a new area, and as you guys saw, that was a full front that I was able to press on this heat press. So again, fast application for a full front design. All in all, it took me 15 seconds to do 2 different products. Now I'm just preheating this area. Now this one is going to be a little bit interesting because I have 4 different things to apply. I have the 2 different patterns, but the thing is I have this pattern is going to be a bottom layer. My glitter is going to go over and trap in this pattern. My easy weed stretch is going to go as an underbase, and then this pattern is going to go on top of the easy weed. So yes, I know it's intense, and I told you it's season finale right now, so there's no bar here. So what I'm going to do is, again, try to find my center. And I'm just gauging that on that top design there. Now, I'm going to lay that down since that is my first layer. And I wish there was a better way to light it. Hopefully that kind of works. So I'm going to lay that down as my first layer. And underneath it, I'm going to, at the same time, center my easy weed stretch piece underneath that. Now, just like before, this is what I'm telling you. This is not movie magic. I'm tacking that down for a second. I'm going to peel my easy weed stretch hot. You were seeing this live. I'm not even joking with you guys. And I'm peeling my easy pattern. That just happened. 1 second, 2 different layers. Again, this is my carrier sheet from my easy pattern. Now, if I wanted to save that, save your paper backing, lay it down on that, and you can reuse that for another project down the line. So, and then again, if you really felt like you wanted to try it, this is the easy weed stretch carrier sheet, which is still pretty tacky. You could try saving it and use it if you wanted to on the patterns. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm going to take my glitter piece and trap it around my top easy pattern. So my top easy pattern, again, is not recommended to layer directly on the easy pattern, but the way I designed it is a little bit traps over the easy pattern, but a majority of it is actually layered onto the textile, onto the shirt. So that's okay to do. And then underneath that, I'm gonna take my other easy pattern. So this is the Paisley Navy. And I'm going to layer that directly on top of my easy weed stretch, which you can do. And because I did the 1 second tack, my lineup right now is perfect. And then I have to do what I did last time, cover it up, and I'm going to tack that down for the full 15 seconds. And that is going to accurately bond all those layers to the textile or to each other.
Do you have any kind of foolproof way to really make sure the words are laid on straight? We have a couple people that just, they think it's all straight and then they realize one word ended up wonky.
I wish I could say foolproof every time. And I really, like it has to be up to kind of yourself and to gauge it. There really isn't, I mean, there's tools out there that you can get that are, they are made to kind of square off where you're going. And sometimes for those that are starting, it may be a good investment. They do take some time out of your setup in your actual project, which for those that obviously this is a business, you want to make sure that everything is right. It could be a good investment. But yeah, there's a product called a T-square, which is used to really give you the dimensions and lines your transfer up exactly to a placement it needs to. But it is a little bit more of a meticulous process to make sure that you're getting everything right in the exact area. Outside of that, it really comes down to just training your eyes and what to look at. Like, that's what I did for myself. And of course, we've all made mistakes. We've done it in the past. It's just about how you learn. And honestly, using a heat press, it does help a little bit more, because what I like to do when I use them is I'll start off by taking the shoulder placements of the shirt, make sure I'm grabbing it evenly, and then, well, I'm backwards here, but I'll grab it evenly, and then I'll make sure that in the center of my lower platen of my heat press, I make sure I slide that over down the center of my heat press. And again, I really do use the basics. Like, I pay attention to where my tag is on my shirt to make sure that's my center line. I'll use the sleeves and I'll just gauge it off of how are they as close and even to the seams of the sleeves. And then I just kind of find my placement from there. And I always tell people too, and I've been doing this for 14 years almost, but I can go anywhere, and I'm pretty OCD in that manner that I'll go to like any store and I'll look at a transfer on any kind of shirt. And if you spend enough time, you'll find a flaw in it. So nothing is really perfect. And that's the beauty part about this whole industry, is let it be different. Enjoy it. So there is no real foolproof way of doing it. So I'm sorry for that. All right. So I just wrapped up my other design. Here it is. Big reveal up at the top here. You guys see it?
Wow.
Look at that, outnumbered by tiny humans. So that is 4 different products. Again, that glitter around the edges of the pattern obviously really make the pattern pop even more. It obviously has the glitter effect, so it makes it all blingy. And then at the bottom, because I used that dark navy paisley on a dark shirt, if I would have put that directly onto a dark shirt, then it would have been a little bit harder to see. Now I'll adjust this here and we'll just kind of show a little bit of a difference on that. And I'll show you even with this. Again, same color scheme, same patterns. Yeah, that's probably cool. So that's just to show you that top one, same color scheme, same pattern, and that is the palette with the holographic on a yellow. And just to follow that up with that, the palette on a dark with the same holographic on it. So as you can see, the color of the shirt really does influence your overall finish. And here was one even at the bottom, the same pattern. But as you can tell, with that bottom portion of this design, as the underbase, I actually used a violet easy weed. So I used the darker easy weed, which may or may not have been a good choice on my part. I'm not really sure. In person, it looks really good, but like on camera, it doesn't look as hot. But on a darker shirt, using the white easy weed stretch, I know it's probably overexposed, but sorry, I don't know why it's not calibrating, but it does look a lot better on the white, if you can tell. And I'll take photos of that and I'll go, I'll show you guys what it really looks like in a photo. But that's a lesson though. What do you guys think? Was that fun? I know that was a lot and I do apologize, but it was like a topic that I probably could have gone over. I'm gonna turn the lights a little exposed here. It was just it was a lot to talk about. Again, I'm sorry for being so fast on the other parts of it, like the art setup stuff. And when I come back, maybe that's a topic that we go over. This is the last of the 4 classes that I just did for a little bit. And if you guys want me to come back, just let me know, let Michaels know. that you want more Zoom classes by me, and I'm looking forward to doing more, but we really want to get some inspiration. So if there's stuff that you want to see or you want me to go over regarding Siser products and go over some of the designing end of it, I would love to. Again, I come from a little bit of a different background, full disclosure. You know, I've been in this world of like silhouettes and crickets and all the fun little craft cutters, but I come from a very large format world where I use programs like Corel Draw in Adobe Illustrator. And so I'm still kind of learning the transition over into those softwares. So I will do my best to do more classes in that regard. But if you have questions, because I know a lot more people are using Corel these days, and I'd love to go over how that works. And they're very, very similar. It's just all about finding out what the different verbiage is compared to the two programs. And I got to tell you that Inkscape, someone brought it up in this class, the very first class I did here 4 weeks ago. Can't believe it's already been a month. It's been a month of doing this. But yeah, they mentioned that, and I looked it up, and Inkscape is really, really cool. And I noticed that there's a ton of stuff you can do for it, and it's a free platform. So maybe look into kind of toying with that software. It would be probably pretty conducive for any kind of advanced projects you might want to do and stuff like that. So yeah, any questions? Was there anything? I see great classes. All right, right on. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Again, I feel like I'm talking to myself. Catherine doesn't say much, so, it's just kind of.
Joe, you keep talking and you keep talking, and I can't find a great time to interject in there. But, people are not here to listen to me talk. They are absolutely here for you.
Lies. But yeah, no, that's, I can't thank you guys enough. And again, I just want to give a huge shout out to all the moms, essential workers, our entire lives. I think I'll end up shipping these shirts over to my mom in California, and I hope she enjoys them. But like, right on. And I hope you did learn that little lesson, that little tidbit of how Mother's Day began. That was really cool. That was a small little backstory that I thought was fun, because I didn't know when it started. And so who knows, when Father's Day comes around, I'll probably tell you how that started. So yeah, if there's any questions, feel free, let me know. I think I did my plugging of the day too. These carts, the awesome 4-tier carts I have going on here that Michael's hooked me up with, that's holding all this fun stuff, is going to be available very soon. They are awesome. I have a couple of them down here in my basement right now. They are going to be available very soon, and they are going to come in a mint color as well. So be on the lookout for that. Sparkleberry patterns, new ones coming out in the next couple weeks. Thank you so much to Mandy and Sparkleberry for hooking me up with these designs I used today, and being an awesome partner with Siser and Michaels. We have this heat press you guys saw. Michael's is going to be launching that come September. I can't believe we're already in May, and I've been quarantined since March, and that feels like forever, but that really did cruise by. 4 classes here. I feel like a month should feel a lot longer than that, but it's been zipping by. So September will be here soon. A lot of fun stuff coming out from Siser that's going to be at the Michaels store very soon. So be on the lookout for that. And anything else you want to see from me, just let me know. I'm here. I appreciate each and every one of you. Catherine, I'll let you do the closing. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. And again, thank you everyone for joining. We know that this is an hour out of your day, so we are so honored that you want to spend your time with us and learn and keep making, keep creating. We have a ton of online virtual classes available at Michaels. Just visit michaels.com/online classes. There's a lot to sign up for. More and more are being added every day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to Joe, to reach out to Siser, reach out to Michaels. We'd love to hear from you. And especially during these hard times, staying connected is really all we can do. So please reach out with anything, even if you just want to talk. We are absolutely here for you. And really just a huge thank you again to everyone. So keep making, keep creating, and we'll see where we go next. Like we said, this is the season finale, not the series finale. So stay tuned for the next classes.
Yes, thank you guys so much. And I'll talk to you all very soon. And happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And we'll see you guys very, very soon. Thank you, Michaels. Thank you, everyone.